Greetings, queer beings. Greetings, green being. Welcome to Universal Peace Radio. Single women are welcome for a healing shiatsu massage and whatever question will be. Green,
Universal peace.
Scientists say they have gained new insight into what lies at the very center of the Earth. Research from China and the US suggests that the innermost core of our planet has another, distinct region at its center. The team believes that the structure of the iron crystals there is different from those found in the outer part of the inner core. Van Allen belt around the Earth, 25,000-67,000 miles thick. No man or signal can get through it. The radiation belt around the Earth is 25,000-67,000 miles thick. No man or transmission signal can get through it. The rocket walls would need to be 6 feet deep with lead.
Yeah.
Temp above 4,000 degrees moon surface temp 250 dig sun night minus 250 NASA did not leave Earth period. I knew they were going to kill that teacher 1986-87. Immediately they will kill other morons who are regular Joes. MR. Blind Americans. The Sun, Earth, and the rest of the planet in our solar system follow the Sun at 485,000 mph. The Earth also orbits Sun at 66,600 mph. The shield is called the Van Allen belt. No MAN or signal can get through it. Fact. It takes nearly 250 plus million years to make one complete revolution inside our solar system. NASA has never been above 700-1,000 miles above planet Earth. 2004, astronauts gone wild. Full, an investigation into the authenticity of the moon landings. Five minutes 100% proof. Apollo equals hoax by Joe Rogan. Landing safely on the moon is scientifically impossible. September 2014 fact, NASA scientist admits they can't get past the Van Allen belts. Moon hoax. Radiation in outer space biggest proof man never went to moon. Never broadcast Bill Casing interview, More proof moon hoax. Proof America has been lied to again. Space travel's the biggest hoax and must watch. Space travel the biggest hoax. A funny thing happened on the way to the moon. GMO labeling sweeping nation. Arizona may soon enforce labels. Obama wants unconstitutional authorization to attack Islamic State in Syria and Iraq. Current Nemo debate over boots on the ground as latest phase of war on terror ramps up. 150 comments. The Obama administration is calling for a 3-year authorization to intervene militarily in Syria and Iraq against the Islamic State, the terror army trained by the United States and funded by the Gulf Emirates. Article I, Section 8 of the United States Constitution states that only Congress shall have the power to declare war. Some members of Congress have criticized the administration for failing to seek congressional approval for the new war, which began in August when the U.S. attacked ISIS under the pretense of humanitarian intervention to rescue Yazidis allegedly trapped on the Sinjar mountain in northwestern Iraq. It was later learned the humanitarian crisis was largely manufactured. It turns out there were Yazidis already living on the top of the mountain. And while there were some refugees who fled up there, the humanitarian crisis was never what it was made out to be, and an influx of Kurdish PKK fighters from Syria quickly broke the overblown siege, Jason Ditz wrote on August 13, 2014. The administration just seems grateful that they got an excuse to start a war they've been chomping at the bit for, and even if the excuse didn't exactly pan out, they'll quickly find another. Obama wants the new authorization to replace and update a 2002 authorization used by Bush to launch the invasion and occupation of Iraq. The 2001 authorization put into place after the September 11, 2001 attacks will remain in place. Obama has used it to justify conducting a drone war against Al-Qaeda in Yemen and Somalia. The alleged death of American aid worker Kayla Mueller will be used by advocates of continued war in the Middle East to push through the authorization. The 29-year-old woman was allegedly killed during an airstrike against the Islamic State. She joins journalists and a Jordanian pilot who were supposedly killed by the terrorist group as the administration and Congress prepare to ramp up war in the region. Critics say the immolation of the Jordanian pilot was staged. Experts also contend the beheading videos of journalists James Foley and Stephen Sotloff are fake and being used as war propaganda. Some in Congress worry the new AUMF will allow the government to put boots on the ground. I worry that this AUMF gives the ability for the next president to put ground troops back into the Middle East, said Senator Chris Murphy. Republicans and other neocons in Congress, on the other hand, not only want the ability to use combat troops, but also a free hand to attack the Bashar al-Assad government in Syria. If the authorization doesn't let us counter Assad's air power, I think it will fail, said South Carolina Republican Senator Lindsey Graham. The Syrian military is also fighting against the Islamic State and other proxy elements sent to the country by the United States to topple al-Assad. Graham argues there's got to be some regional force formed with an American component, somewhere around 10,000. In order to defeat the Islamic State, other Republicans are more reticent. On Sunday, Texas Senator Ted Cruz distanced himself from the call to use ground troops. You know, I don't believe right now we need American boots on the ground, and the reason is, we have boots on the ground already, with the Kurds. The Peshmerga are trained, effective fighters, Cruz said.
Why should I believe in all these organizations and stuff? I think it's better to have sex. All right.
Most popular video, nuke reportedly detonates in Ukraine. The Secret Covenant, the elite's manual for global enslavement. Church asks followers to submit to government. Call 911 on suspicious neighbors. Muslim rape scandal destroys white privilege myth. Oregon business must pay $150,000 to homosexual couple for refusing to bake a cake.
So the Healing Schumann is on. I'm back. The broadcast is healing anyway. Yeah, it's on. It's quite soft. And often I had to get some salad, diabetic foods, asparagus, cucumber, beets. Kijk of ik dit kan lezen. And check if I can read this without being text. It's in Dutch, so then you have to get the translation. You can see the page.
Geen stijl NMH17. Opnieuw Framing 11 februari 2015 internationaal, media, politiek, Schiphol, Vaatschafiles extra. De elitebedrijven slachten een Fries meisje af, sleuren een onschuldige boer van zijn koeien vandaan, dringen hem een nepadvocaat op, veroordelen hem met een 100% match en een via marteling verkregen bekentenis en dwingen hem nu ook nog eens de vader uit te betalen.
Nog meer extra. What is het verben tussen de Vatstra en het MH17 dossier? Dinstegel and MH17. Are framing. February 11th, 2015 International. Media. Politics. Schiphol. Vatstra files. Extra. The elite pedo S slaughter the Fries girl AF. Drag along the innocent farmer of his cows come. Urge him NEP lawyer on. Condemn him with a 100% match and through torture obtain confession and force him now also agree to pay the father of the harvest of more than 10 years Joyce Deming. More extra, what is the relationship between the case, Stradicious and MH17 file? Netherlands HAD 200 compatriots sacrifice otherwise the pedo. Files Joyce Deming and KH should be played off. What do the truth about case? Vatstra never do not come on table. It looks nice on the eye. How Ginstagel handedly seems to ensure that the notorious bottom stone in the MH17 file will still come up. But appearances are deceiving. Here, and the first law of Micah everything bring the MSM is in need of power applies here. In the same way as Ginstagel busy sacrificing Obstalton on the pedo. Altar of Joyce Deming in the service of the pedo. Spin doctors the Telegraph website now working Mark Rutt, Timur French, Deming and the rest of the elite whitewash regard MH17. This is done by the most famous and oldest spider strategy we know, framing. Framing is the attention and focus away from the real problem, lead by zooming in on a secondary aspect that much less or not at all threatening the elite. In the case Deming we see that with the create of the problem Obstalton. By MH17 is now all about the information and wiglagging and mislead of Parliament. All serious business, but things do not go over the repulsive core of the matter and that is, Has the red sacrificed on behalf of the NWO 200 Dutch to create a casus belli for the Third World War? The answer is of course yes thrice. On Ginstagel now up to play this demand at any price table by attacking the government on normal and everyday issues. Dutch government releases shortened version of documents on MH17 disaster. Kyiv Post. 5 hours ago. Trucks carrying pieces of wreckage from Malaysia Airlines flight MH17 stand on a rest area of the A2 highway near Hanover, central Germany, on December 8, 2014. Washington. The Dutch government has posted dozens of significantly shortened documents connected to the flight MH17 disaster in eastern Ukraine, the Associated Press agency reported. Lauren Moyd, MH17 is Jesuit false flag due. Malaysia Airlines Flight 17, MH17/MAS17A, was a scheduled international passenger flight from Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur that crashed on July 17, 2014 after being shot down, killing 283 Albanian passengers and 15 crew on board. 2. The Boeing 777-200ER airliner lost contact about 50 kilometers, 31 miles, from the Ukraine-Russia border and crashed near Torz in Donetsk Oblast, Ukraine, 40 kilometers, 25 miles, from the border. 3. Over territory controlled by pro-Russian separatists. 4. The crash occurred during the battle in Shakhtarsk, part of the ongoing war in Donbass, in an area controlled by the Donbass People's Militia. According to American and German intelligence sources, the plane was shot down by pro-Russian separatists using a bulk surface-to-air missile fired from the territory which they controlled. 5. The Russian government blamed the Ukrainian government. 6. The Dutch Safety Board is currently leading an investigation into the incident and issued a preliminary report on September 9, 2014. A final accident report is expected in August 2015. 7. 8. Was Glenn Thomas killed because there is no Ebola epidemic and he said so? October 18, 2014, just 2 weeks before WHO spokesperson Glenn Thomas was allegedly killed in the mysterious MH17 crash. He played a vital role in diffusing WHO Ebola hype and a martial law declaration in July. In a press briefing in Geneva on June 27, Thomas introduced WHO's Ebola expert Pierre Formenty, who categorically denied that Ebola was out of control, as reporters and Doctors Without Borders suggested. WHO's own figures on confirmed Ebola cases show Ebola is under control. There is no Ebola epidemic. It is a scandal that an Ebola emergency was declared. There was no out-of-control swine flu outbreak in 2009 and there is no out-of-control Ebola outbreak in 2014. Screenshots of the WHO press conference showing Formenty and Thomas. http://webtv.un.org/ topics-issues/ specialized-agency/ watch/ Geneva-press-briefing-HRC-ICU-OHCHR-UNHCR-UM-WFP/ 3646279074001 full-text. According to the UN press release, Thomas brought on Formenty to answer media and MSF fear-mongering in June as pressure was growing from WHO, NGOs and the media for Ebola to be declared an international emergency. Mr. Thomas then introduced his colleague Dr. Pierre Formenty, who could inform on the situation and the response to address the outbreak. Dr. Pierre Formenty, for World Health Organization, WHO. 2 questions from journalists. Responding to a question on whether the situation had got out of hand, Dr. Formenty replied that the situation was not out of hand, and a lot of work had been done in the 3 affected countries, Guinea, Sierra Leone and Liberia, to tackle the situation and stop the transmission of the Ebola virus, according to a UN press release. Formenty repeated the point later. A second question was asked about the Medicines Sans Frontières (MSF) declaration earlier this week that the situation was out of control. What was the WHO point of view on that declaration? Dr. Formenty replied that he did not want to start an argument about vocabulary, although he understood MSF frustration, as he had himself worked in the field and could share some of them. WHO had been able to control the outbreak in different places, for example Telimo and Douala, whereas in other places it had been more difficult. There were places where WHO was not totally successful, but other places where it had been successful in stopping the chain of transmission. http://www.hanop.ch/ 802.6EDDO69C2E/ http://68886F8389F05C1257DO4044F954 Open document. Formenty statement created a quote among globalists and NGOs who needed ammunition to hysterically hype Ebola into a world threat. When Doctors Without Borders began warning in April that the outbreak was out of control, a dispute broke out between the NGO and a World Health Organization official who insisted it was contained. http://www.hearts.com/news/ World Flash. As long as Glenn Thomas gave a platform to a WHO scientist who communicated accurate information about the containment of the Ebola epidemic, WHO responsibilities for hyping the Ebola outbreak were limited and so was an emergency declaration. Globalist scientist Peter Pyatt, director of the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, wanted a declaration in July. I called for a state of emergency to be declared in July and for military operations to be deployed, Pyatt said. But he said WHO might have been scored by its experience during the 2009 swine flu pandemic when it was blamed for hyping the situation. http://www.hearts.com/news/ World Flash. In fact, WHO postponed an emergency declaration over Ebola until August when Glenn Thomas was dead in a plane crash, which leaves as many questions as Smolensk in 2010. http://www.globelresearch.ca/ image 1/7-verdict-real-evidence-points-TO-US-Kiev-cover-UP-OF-Fail-Flex/5393317. President Barack Obama signed an executive order allowing for the detainment of virtually any American who sneezes on the back of Ebola hype on August 1st. Obama did not even wait for WHO to push through it, pushed through an emergency declaration on Ebola on August 8th. Such a declaration is needed to give people untested Ebola vaccines and diagnostic kits, otherwise not allowed, and to enable martial law measures. http://www.infowars.com/ Obama-signs-executive-order-to-detain-Americans-with-respiratory-illnesses/. Now, Obama is sending troops and the National Guard to Liberia when there is no Ebola epidemic and preparing for mass forced vaccination of the U.S. population. There is no Ebola epidemic. Foreman was right. Thomas was right. The Ebola hype comes from media such as ABC and NBC. ABC's news Dr. Richard Besser is a former director of CDC and one of the main Ebola scaremongers. http://www.huffingtonpost.com/ 2014/09/30/ Richard-Besser-Ebola-outbreak-abc-news-Liberia_590782.html. Evidence points to rogue bioweapons scientists and globalist vaccine groups as the cause of the Ebola outbreak in West Africa. The more British and US troops pour into the area, the more likely it is that some of GSK and NIH's experimental Ebola vaccines are already being given to people. In 2009, Baxter was caught red-handed contaminating 72 kilos of the deadly bird flu virus with seasonal flu in its biosecurity level 4 lab, nearly sparking a global pandemic. Baxter International headquarters are located in Deerfield, Illinois. Barack Obama's main support and financial base, the Illinois 10th Congressional District. http://www.globelresearch.ca/ A-librarian-scientist-claims-the-ebola-outbreak-in-West-Africa/ 5408459. http://www.globelresearch.ca/ the-ebola-virus-pandemic-a-of-mass-destruction/ 5394976. As the Glenn Thomas death suggests, anyone who opposes the globalist agenda of mass-forced vaccination has to watch their back. They will be looking for opportunities to eliminate you first. Comments often categorized permalink, posted by Jane Burgermeister. NSA director and his intelligence officials appealed to Merkel in open letter not to listen to Ukraine war propaganda. September 4, 2014. Bill, the former NSA technical director who blew the whistle on the NSA spying programs, and who signed the Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth petition, has written, together with other U.S. intelligence service officials, an open letter to Angela Merkel ahead of the NATO summit in Wales. In a bid to avoid World War III, he points out that there is no evidence of a Russian invasion of the Ukraine. http://www.zerhedge.com/ news/ 2014-09-01/ ex-NSA-director-US-intelligence-veterans-write-open-letter-Merkel-avoid-all-out-opera. http://www.infowars.com/ Tom-NSA-whistleblower-WE-need-the-destruction-of-the-world-trade-center/ As it emerged that the German army is going to participate in a U.S.-led maneuver in the Ukraine between September 15th and 26th, a CNN reporter had to admit that she could find no evidence of Russian tanks when she was sent to the Ukrainian battlefront. https://www.youtube.com/ Watch $?VUWTTXSFJK. http://www.tigesbible.de/ Politics/ Ukraine-Christ-IM-live-taker-Q-LEHNT-Putin-freedom-split-AB-Tashngs/. 1064617.4.html. http://www.army.mail/ rapid trotted slash. British journalist Mark Franchetti described on Ukrainian TV how people in eastern Ukrainian, mostly ethnic Russians, have to fight for their lives against fascist thugs from Kiev. https www.youtube.com/ watch v control I. You can see some of the damage done in Donetsk here. https www.youtube.com/ watch v JRDTIBF6 CoQ. For the German government to support a brazenly fascist regime in the Ukraine only 7 years after the end of the Second World War is a scandal. Fortunately, the German mainstream media, which has been promoting war against Russia, is on the verge of collapse with 225 editors and Der Spiegel joining forces to try to oust the publisher after he insisted on branding Russian leader Vladimir Putin as responsible for the MH17 crash within hours of the event and without any evidence. http://www.faz.net/active/Bill-Medium/rebel-1-spiegel-225-redactor-program-10-opstan-13110.html. Willy Wimmer, former state minister in the German Ministry of Defense, said the MH17 crash in the Ukraine is being instrumentalized by the press to promote war. https www.youtube.com/ watch v=CTMBFIGOROPW. Comments often categorized Kremlin, hosted by Jane Burgermeister. Is George Soros attempting a color revolution in West Africa? Globalists make power grab after orchestrating the Ebola crisis. September 2nd, 2014. Soros Foundation opens a Saudi initiative joint call for House envoy to take control of Ebola crisis together with Human Union. http://aliphabetica.com/story/20140901285.html. http://www.opensociety.found. Is George Soros attempting a color revolution in West Africa? Globalists make power grab after orchestrating the Ebola crisis. September 2nd, 2014. Soros Foundation opens a Saudi initiative joint call for House envoy to take control of the Ebola crisis together with Human Union. Was Glenn Thomas killed because there is no Ebola epidemic and he said so? Most read interview with Francis Boyle in French, November 1st, 2014. As bioweapons labs are the origin of Ebola. As HAS3 biosecurity level 4 labs in Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone conduct bioweapons research. Not about the Ebola emergency declaration, there was a big pharma conflict of interest, proof. My original query about a conflict of interest was sent to Glenn Thomas, the WHO spokesperson who died in a mysterious MH17 plane crash in the Ukraine, which still has not been explained. The staffer whom I emailed about Ebola killed in MH17 crash. Coincidence. July 19, 2014. Flashback. On April 3rd, I first rang and then emailed WHO media coordinator Glenn Thomas concerning the Ebola outbreak. See email screen below. http://www.votes.com/ 2014/7/. 5913961/ /staffer-kill-in-mh17-en-root-to-8-conference. Yesterday, it was announced Glenn Thomas and leading HIV researchers were killed in the MH17 plane crash in the Ukraine. A coincidence or fate, as Frank Skinnaker called it, or the targeted assassination of a network resisting the use of Ebola as a global bioweapon? Official narrative of plane crash contradictory, not consistent with evidence in echoes of Smolensk. AIDS conference supported by Bill and Melinda Gates, who also have links to the bioweapons lab in Kenya at the epicenter of Ebola outbreak. Stephen Becker, the WHO consultant on Ebola I focused on in my April report, has bioweapons background. More soon. Read the rest of this entry. Was WHO official Glenn Thomas assassinated in MH17 crash to intimidate WHO officials? NJ, July 22, 2014. Parallels with Smolensk plane crash of 2010. The revelation that WHO media officer Glenn Thomas and 6 AIDS researchers died in the mysterious MH17 plane crash. Was WHO official Glenn Thomas assassinated in MH17 crash to intimidate WHO officials, NGOs, and scientists over Ebola? July 22, 2014. Parallels with Smolensk plane crash of 2010. The revelation that WHO media officer Glenn Thomas and 6 AIDS researchers died in the mysterious MH17 plane crash in the Ukraine bolsters fears they were assassinated. While fake alternative media such as InfoWars have done a good job in showing the holes in the official narrative, especially by asking why the MH17 plane was flying over Ukrainian battlespace in the first place, the U.S. aviation authorities had prohibited it and European aviation authorities had placed restrictions. There are crucial facts InfoWars will not report. http://www.infowars.com/ whistleblower-us-satellite-images-shooting-down-mh27 http://www.infowars.com/ Malaysian-flight-false-claim-evidence-revealed http://www.infowars.com/ Claim-MH17-was-being-escorted-by-Ukrainian-fighter-jet/InfoWars will not report that WHO media officer Glenn Thomas was killed on the plane at a time when WHO is once more in the spotlight for its role in an orchestrated Ebola outbreak in West Africa. Glenn Thomas is the media officer I rang and emailed in April 2014 concerning the Ebola outbreak attack. I also spoke to him in April 2009 concerning the bird flu and swine flu false flag pandemic. It is conceivable that Glenn Thomas, who seemed a very sympathetic, open-minded individual on the phone, had, like other WHO officials, begun to follow my blog, assess the evidence and become aware of global elite's depopulation agenda and the role WHO was playing in it. It is possible, in fact, highly likely, that Thomas had become aware of the dangerous threat that the current Ebola outbreak coupled with the international health regulations represents. It is possible he decided to move from being a passive spectator to doing something to stop plans to use weaponized Ebola to kill large numbers of people. Read the rest of this entry. birdflu666.wordpress.com. As U.S. government admits MH17 evidence is based on YouTube and social media, bodies land in the Netherlands. But whose bodies? What did they die of, and where? July 23, 2014, a military plane carrying the bodies of 40 victims of the MH17 crash has landed in the Netherlands. http://www.telegraph.co.uk/ news/ world news/ Europe/ Ukraine / 1098485 / MH17-plane-crash-latest-news-live.html. But whose bodies are on the Dutch plane and what was the real cause of death? Given the parallels with the well-documented Smolensk plane crash case in 2010, reports that old corpses drained of blood were found at the MH17 crash site cannot be dismissed, especially as the official narrative is falling apart. The U.S. government was forced to admit its MH17 evidence is based on YouTube clips and social media posts after AP journalist Matt Lee questioned the spokesperson. http://www.infowars.com/ u-admits-its-evidence-on-YouTube-clips-social-media-posts/ U.S. intelligence officials have now also stated they have no evidence of direct Russian government involvement in the shooting down of Malaysia Airlines Flight 17. http://bigstory.ap.org/ article/ US-present-intelligence-data-plane-crash-o. A CNN satellite image purporting to show a missile shot down MH17 has been proven to be faked, like most of the other YouTube and social media posts serving as so-called evidence. http://www.mmnews.de/ index.php/ politics/ 19191-CNN-Dubayosas-Bues photo-MH17-abschuss, including a photograph published by Germany's Belle newspaper. http://freedomsplit.de/ 12494/ z-bell-fake-photos-bomb-angriff-elf-flight-mn17/ Furthermore, mainstream media reports showing rebels mocking corpses and stealing wedding rings have been proven to be faked, misrepresentations. https www.youtube.com/ watch !v=case score LNC. And now a curious incident involving the Dutch plane carrying back the Malaysian crash bodies occurred. April 1st tweeted that the plane had crash-landed in the Netherlands before issuing a correction. http://www.mediate.com/ online/ ap-accidentally-tweets-plane-carrying-mh17-bodies-crash-land/ http://apenews.geo.com International Wires story European Airlines Air France Lufthansa suspend flights till 246657779. Maybe it was just an accidental tweet by AP. Or maybe the bodies were switched out? I don't believe government of the Netherlands or the Dutch Bilderberg royal family have much incentive to investigate any more than the U.S. government. Given all the lies, spin and propaganda of the U.S. government and mainstream media over the MH17 incident so far, it is legitimate to ask what happened to the 188 passengers on the plane? What happened? Secret government deal for MH17 probe fuels fears of a cover-up. What happened to Glenn Thomas? November 27, 2014. From RT. The Dutch government has refused to reveal details of a secret pact between members of the joint investigation team examining the downflight MH17. If the participants, including Ukraine, don't want information to be released, it will be kept secret. The respected Dutch publication Elsevier made a request to the Dutch Ministry of Security and Justice under the Freedom of Information Act to disclose the Joint Investigation Team (JIT) agreement, along with 16 other documents. The JIT consists of 4 countries, the Netherlands, Belgium, Australia and Ukraine, who are carrying out an investigation into the MH17 disaster, but not Malaysia. Malaysian Airlines, who operated the flight, has been criticized for flying through a war zone. http://rt.com/ news/ 207243-Netherlands-MH17-investigation-document/ comments often categorized permalink, posted by Jane Burgermeister. Investigation into MH17 crash where Glenn Thomas died to be extended for 9 more months. November 16, 2014. Canberra, November 13. Xinhua. Investigations into the downing of Malaysian Airlines flight MH17 will be extended for a further 9 months. with the Australian government confirming on Thursday it would remain in Ukraine for as long as it took to complete the task. Member countries of the Joint Investigation Team, JIT, including Malaysia, the Netherlands, Belgium and Ukraine, as well as Australia, agreed upon a 9-month extension of investigations, taking the process through until August 2015.
Cute. Trouwens, de shake machine is niet. Machine shakes her blood and things. Zo'n beetje. 17.
Area Explorer.
Universal peace.
Berkeley666.wordpress.com.
Jim Burgermaster blog really great. Awesome blog, great. News.
Italian court document. GSK withheld data showing 67 infants died within 10 days of vaccination. February 11, 2015. TTP. www.naturalnews.com/04843_dead_big_pharma.html Natural News. An Italian court has unearthed a formally classified document that proves vaccines cause death, and that vaccine companies don't want you to know this, as published on the U.S. National Library of Medicine, NLM, website. A 1,271-page report by British drug firm GlaxoSmithKline, GSK, reveals that certain combination vaccines administered to children are known to cause sudden death, but the company chose to obscure and conceal this in official safety reports. Table 36 in the GlaxoSmithKline Biological Clinical Safety and Pharmacovigilance Report to Regulatory Authority shows that nearly all of the 67 reported deaths following Infenrixixa administration occurred within the first 10 days. Only 2 of these reported deaths occurred after 10 days, and yet GSK reported them all together as transpiring sporadically across the entire 20-day period, insinuating that they were merely coincidental. F1 analyses the data looking at deaths in the first 10 days after administration of vaccine and compares it to the deaths in the next 10 days. It is clear that 97% of deaths, 65 deaths, in the infants below 1 year occur in the first 10 days and 3%, 2 deaths, occur in the next 10 days, explains child health safety. Similarly in children older than 1 year, 87.5% of deaths, 7 deaths, occurred in the first 10 days and 12.5%, 1 death, occurred in the next 10 days. 90% of deaths occurred within 5 days of vaccination. An even closer look at the data tables, which GSK deliberately withheld from public view, reveals an even more shocking fact: the vast majority of sudden deaths actually occurred within 5 days of vaccine administration, which further implicates the vaccine. A shocking 90% of the deaths, 60 of them, occurred within 5 days of the shot being given, and 75% of the deaths occurred within 3 days of the shot. This is all quite revealing the stuff of lawsuits, no doubt, with which GSK is more than familiar. As you may recall, GSK is the same drug company that was fined $3 billion for promoting antidepressant drugs for off-label uses. The case has since been dubbed the largest health fraud settlement in U.S. history, which says a whole lot about the integrity of this company. Should GSK ever be found guilty of deliberately withholding critical safety data that, while it probably would have cut into the company's bottom line to make it public, may have saved children from early death, it could potentially make history again as earning the title of the most shamefully greedy and profiteering corporation in the world, next to Monsanto, of course. Comments often categorized permalink, posted by Jane Burgermeister, U.S. Media blackout. Italian courts rule vaccines cause autism, February 11, 2015, U.S. Media blackout. Italian courts rule vaccines cause autism. By Mary S. Holland, Age of Autism, February 10, 2015. On September 23, 2014, an Italian in compensation to a boy for vaccine-induced autism. A childhood vaccine against 6 childhood diseases caused the boy's permanent autism and brain damage. While the Italian press has devoted considerable attention to this decision and its public health implications, the U.S. press has been silent. Like the U.S., Italy has a national vaccine injury compensation program to give some financial support to those people who were injured by compulsory and recommended vaccinations. The Italian infant plaintiff received 3 doses of GlaxoSmithKline's Fanrixexa, a hexavalent vaccine administered in the first year of life. These doses occurred from March to October 2006. On September 23, 2014, an Italian court in Milan awarded compensation to a boy for vaccine-induced autism. U.S. Media blackout. Italian courts rule vaccines cause autism, February 11, 2015. Italian court document. GSK withheld data showing 67 infants died within 10 days of vaccination, February 11, 2015. Recent posts. Italian court document. GSK withheld data showing 67 infants died within 10 days of vaccination, U.S. Media blackout. Italian courts rule vaccines cause autism, measles transmitted by the vaccinated, Gov. Researchers confirm. Scandal. NIH admits Liberians in GSK vaccine trial could be infected with Ebola. Liberian minister threatens to arrest critics of Ebola vaccine trial. Poverty-stricken Liberians offered $40 to take dangerous Ebola vaccine. Soros-funded Spiraz, state's US website, would explain Greek government U-turn on debt payments. Nuclear war soon? Flashback to March when Tymoshenko said Russians must be killed with nuclear weapons. Update: Greek finance minister mentions exit from Eurozone, only to pledge creditors repayment after all. A prayer for peace. Merkel and Hollande break from Washington, try to stop World War III with last-minute diplomacy. Controlled opposition. Spiraz pledges to remain in Euro, to raise taxes to pay bankers. Soros-controlled Syriza hires Lazar to repay banksters. Military dictatorship next. Financial Times columnist Martin Wolf in April 2014. WE must end the creation of money by private banks.
Cyprus finally ends cooperation with Troika criminals and halts privatization, while the Greek central bank can print its own money as Ireland did in 2011. None without a Tesla plasma shield would survive a Third World War. Scalar weapons have made nuclear weapons obsolete, so I advise to fry the circuits of the nuclear weapons in the Iranian Quds facility to render them useless. I advise Iran to allow inspections and to comply temporarily if necessary to prevent World War III. I also advise the American and the Israeli presidents not to attack Iranian nuclear facilities to prevent World War III and to keep their missile shields ready. The Russian President Putin made clear, quote, "Attack on Iran will endanger the entire world, not would or could, will endanger the entire world, which it only can if a world war would be triggered by an Iranian or an Israeli-American attack." So get a radiological water filter and storable food, some iodine pills, colloidal silver and H2O2. See YouTube video, World War III starts in February 2015 according to our 94A21 prediction. Nuclear war soon? Flashback to March when Tymoshenko said Russians must be killed with nuclear weapons. 2 votes. Merkel in last-minute push to avert nuclear war. Russian bombers intercepted over English Channel carried nukes. Imagine what will happen if sociopaths like Julia Tymoshenko in the Ukrainian regime ever get hold of nuclear weapons through NATO, or if the Russians even suspect they might. In a phone call in March, Tymoshenko talks about killing 8 million Russians in the Crimea with nuclear weapons and scorching every field in Russia. https www.youtube.com/ watch V=3VDGDCX and Y9M. Recall that this woman was put in prison by an elected Ukrainian government because of her theft of state assets, a government which has since been toppled by a CIA-organized coup to be replaced by kleptocratic fascists. The world has to hope that German Chancellor Angela Merkel manages to stop an escalation of the Ukraine crisis by her last-minute diplomatic push. She's meeting globalist puppet and U.S. President Barack Obama in Washington today to try to stop him giving nuclear and other weapons to the criminal class now ruling in Kiev. http://www.foxnews.com/ politics/ 2015/ 02/ 09/ Obama-Merkel-aim-TO-Keep-United-Front-Amid-Dispute-Over-Arming-Ukraine/ Only last week a Russian bomber was intercepted over the English Channel carrying nukes as a timely warning to the globalists in the City of London and Wall Street that should they start a war against Russia for their profit, then that war is going to go global and nuclear very soon, and they will find themselves in the middle of it. http://www.breitbart.com/ London/ 2015/ 02/ 01/ Russian-bomber-over-channel-was-carrying-new/ Everybody is controlled with directed energy weapon torture, with her. Possibly 93% of the world's global population is slow killed with herp, okay? I am opposed to all forms of torture and know your most basic human rights to physical integrity. People that use colloidal silver cannot be affected by designer viruses such as Ebola and AIDS. Only HAARP-induced diseases such as cancer, heart attacks and brain bleedings can still kill them. I am opposed to all forms of torture and know your most basic human rights to physical integrity, privacy and freedom of thought are illegally violated by the Jesuit pedophiles daily. Because they have illegally refused me right to press charges of directed energy weapon torture, cancer, cell phone radiation damages and incitement to commit genocide, and you cannot either. I know your government is terroristic and homicidal, hence, remember to always question authority and because they have illegally refused me my right to press charges of directed energy weapon torture, cancer, cell phone radiation damages and incitement to commit genocide, and you cannot either. I know your government is terroristic and homicidal, hence, remember to always question authority and to never give up your guns. We psyop us. The people cannot do anything but switch of the machine. I only let the perpetrator that tortured my mother to death and tortured me die. The funny idea is that I let everyone die, which is insane. Easy map. ZZZ map. It. Remember to always distrust but not necessarily question authority and to never give up your guns. We psyop us. The people cannot do anything but switch of the machine. I only let the perpetrator that tortured my mother to death and tortured me die. The funny idea is that I let everyone die, which is insane. Easy map. ZZZ map. It was done by Zorro. Who? Zorro. Obama influenza would have rhymed. Why is Obama wearing a respirator? When the air good here, good ear. World War III starts February 17, 2015 after quote Iran nuclear attack unquote February 12, 2015 based on Illuminati numerology and lunar calendar dates. Iran nuclear attack, February 12, 2015. Beginning of Jesuits' Third World War, February 17, 2015. So get a radiological water filter and storable food, some iodine pills, colloidal silver and H2O2, shitties and ship. See YouTube video. World War III starts in February 2015 according to our 94A21 prediction, https www.youtube.com/ watch V equal NN1V4A9YGZS, https www.youtube.com/ watch V equal 1BLGWNNL-QS ? Why has the I Support Human Culling and Depopulation Facebook page not been removed yet? Human culling and depopulation are in violation of the Genocide Convention. The government is a legal person and killing one person is illegal, let alone killing 7 billion people for Mr. Rockefeller with his illegal Georgia Guidestones donated under the pseudonym Robert Christian and Nazi eugenics suicide program. All accomplices will be killed by him with earth. They do not leave any trace of evidence. Tito Bear. Coglio. The infant-eating Pope Francis and his fellow Jesuits with their open false world peace policy have planned a third world war according to many sources online. The Jesuits are famous for their pedophilia, world wars and especially their torture. The Jesuits have tortured 60 million people to death in their Inquisition according to several sources online and experts on this subject. Recent evidence proves beyond any reasonable doubt the Jesuits eat infants as part of their initiation ritual, and 16 eyewitness testimonies and official Vatican documents prove this, according to Kevin Annett, a fake priest and controlled opposition according to sources online. They were crashing my usual speech engine, jar text editor, for this one to interfere with the evidence of planned genocide with home quarantines and killer vaccines in World War. None without a Tesla plasma shield would survive a Third World War. Scalar weapons have made nuclear weapons obsolete, so I advise to fry the circuits of the nuclear weapons in the Iranian Quds facility to render them useless. I advise Iran to allow inspections and to comply temporarily if necessary to prevent World War III. I also advise the American and the Israeli presidents not to attack Iranian nuclear facilities to prevent World War III and to keep their missile shields ready. The Russian President Putin made clear, quote, "Attack on Iran will endanger the entire world, not would or could, will endanger the entire world, which it only can if the world war would be triggered by an Iranian or an Israeli-American attack." These are all videos on my YouTube channel. Evil up, evil down, up down, good. Lucifer equals mainstream media, tyranny, torture, directed energy. So prepare for a third Jesuit world war as well as a solar storm predicted by NASA. It will happen sooner or later, guaranteed. A global Ebola pandemic would take years to build up, so get storable food, rice and peanut butter, and get colloidal silver. Perhaps a gas mask with NBC filter will come in handy. Illuminati. So you can't eat my soul. Millions of GMO insects set for release in Florida Keys. Crossbred with the herpes simplex virus and E. coli bacteria. Sean Moss and Arigo. Yes, the male may not bite humans, but it will mate with the female. The article claims it will kill the larvae, not the female. So if the female becomes infected, it still feeds on people, then its larvae will die when it lays eggs. Hope they're sure the males can transmit it to the female then to human. Men never do evil so completely and cheerfully as when they do it from religious conviction. Blaise Pascal quotes from brainyquote.com. We are here to prove them wrong. Burn the Jesuit witches. Sniper bomb, scalar win. War, stupid piece of smart. Torah equals Karen equals religion equals man-made bullshit to enslave you. The Jesuits are a military order that were expelled from 83 countries and cities that have tortured more than 60 million people to death for not believing in their fictional deity. Their illegal torture devices are shown on YouTube. They have used divide to defeat and problem reaction solution to accumulate, steal and plunder the things they claim to own. Ordo ab chao equals problem reaction solution. Better to make love than to torture innocent kind vegetarians that are creating a perfect society rather than a society of the perfect in which we all will live eternally. Think big dick. Famous vegetarians, Madonna, Prince, David Bowie, Peter Gabriel. Mystics, all machines gone wow. EMP, Jesuits or witches war. Do you want me to get mad, stupid imbecilic torture? Don't you want me to commit suicide? Stupid odious troll. Then, Jesuits or witches, okay? They are known trolls. Infant-eating girl-fucking pedo trolls that want to kill 93% of us that were to torture themselves to be even remotely close to normal. Soros hunters, just do it or unite. The things I write are inspired by the illegal torture. The torture might not even be a Jesuit if there is a paradise, which, I can assure you, there is not, then my mother is in it. Communism or laudanum? The pedos only need herb and no. The 16 eyewitness testimonies and official Vatican documents that prove the popes eat an infant as part of their initiation ritual and rape little girls are real. Kevin Annett is fake, a fake priest with a fake court, to prevent the infant eaters from going to jail. At the heart of the organization is something Annett calls the International Common Law Court of Justice, ICLCJ, which is rather similar to those common law courts sometimes set up by freemen on the land, right down to the citizen jurors. 6. 7. This court exists only on Annett's blog. With the ITCCS, Annett attempts to mimic genuine international organizations, and is actually good enough at this to have fooled a few normal people, and a lot of raving conspiracy-prone nutters, into thinking there's anything at all to this. He produces very nicely formatted, official-looking documents and everything. 8. However, an examination of the blog's actual content will quickly reveal that in legal terms, it's not even wrong even by pseudo-law standards. Annett has convicted 2 consecutive popes of genocide and child trafficking, issuing international arrest warrants for them. 9. He has also issued a proclamation dissolving Canada. 10. Which he has replaced with the Republic of Canada. 11. He also dissolved Great Britain, though that one was only on Twitter. 12. He is a fan of the Freeman on the Land movement. 13. This has become more prominent in recent months, and the website now sports a prominent link to a so-called Common Law Community Training Manual, which is basically a sovereign citizen FAQ. 14. They also have a collection of common law court documents, in case you were looking for a pseudo-law starter kit. 15. Finally, it should be noted that most genuine international legal bodies are not proudly powdered by WordPress, nor do they ask you to contact them via a Gmail address. The International Tribunal into Crimes of Church and State, or ITCCS, is a one-man blog that pretends to be a tribunal established to enforce common law. 1. Despite claims of being based in Brussels, the whole thing is written in Canada by Kevin Deanet, a default 2. United Church of Canada minister. The ITCCS came to some notice in the social media sphere in February 2013, when Annette issued a claim that Pope Benedict XVI resigned for fear of arrest on an ITCCS warrant 3, and the Heart of Thinking forwarded it around as if this actually made sense. The website did look fairly professional at the time, although it has since decayed heavily. If nothing else, it nicely illustrates how the time cube law and Hague's law can go hand in hand. Previously, Annette had made his money claiming to represent the interests of Native Canadians. Until they told him to damn well stop it. 4. Join the I Am Anti-Human Culling and Depopulation community on Facebook. Facebook.com/pages/ Join the I Am Anti-Human Culling and Depopulation community on Facebook. Facebook.com/pages/ I-am-anti-human-culling-and-depopulation. Please like me and spread the info to prevent being depopulated yourself. I would like to start off with the fact that depopulation, genocide and democide are in violation of the Genocide Convention and a gross violation of standards of common decency. Killing one person is illegal already, let alone killing 7 billion people, which the Georgia Guidestones of Mr. Rockefeller donated under the pseudonym of Robert Christian suggest, and Nazi eugenics is illegal as well. The taxpayers have paid tax money to be protected and served by their government, not tortured and exterminated like vermin with hybrid insects, chemtrails, Google, CIA's evergreen air, GMOs, food as a weapon, illegal laws, BFSA, NDAA, European version EAW, poison tap water, self-lobotomizing replicating, lipid, nanotechnology, scalar weapons, wars, false flags, the airborne Ebola laws, attack mirror chimera virus and zombifying lobotomizing killer vaccines and other slow and soft kill methods we exposed and thus prevented. Create a perfect society in which we all will live eternally, which is really possible because everything is energy. Google active measures. Phase 1 demoralization. Phase 2 destabilization. Phase 3 crisis. Phase 4 normalization is when the tanks roll in. Military state, not a police state. Obama, real name Barry Sayatoro Davis, is guilty of treason and Obama is not the president. Jesuit infant eaters control the Supreme Court and the cancer HAARP. Tesla's death ray. Expose them and unite. Also expose controlled opposition. Kill people that advocate depopulating the earth in violation of the Genocide Convention if they have killed or tortured more than one person to death. Not to redeem a murderer from the death penalty for money. And Abraham stood up and slew the Egyptian. One who knows of evidence must testify. According to some believers, you may break any commandment to save a human life except for the 3 cardinal sins. The insane preemptive nuclear doctrine is in violation of the Genocide Convention. Herp and synthetic telepathy violate your rights to physical integrity and privacy. They have poisoned you and your family and our planet beyond repair. They must pay. Justice must be done before these loonies kill us all. Hang Obama the fell troll because he is guilty of treason and proper punishment equals justice. They are all Jesuit controlled anyway, so Biden would do the same thing. 2 wrongs do not make a right. Obama is not the president and Michelle Obama is a man. Even if Obama would be the real president, which he is not because of his fake birth certificate, he is guilty of treason. 1. Illegal laws such as the BFSA labeling all U.S. citizens as enemy combatants during emergencies such as an Ebola bomb attack of the CIA's ISIS. 2. granting legal immunity to genocidal companies instead of bona fide pharmaceutical companies. 3. War crimes also covered a bit by Amnesty International. Google Obama's treason. A fake impeachment is usually started by the Jesuit infant-eating pedophiles that have tortured my mother to death with HAARP. Barry Soetoro Davis Obama is guilty of treason because 1. He passed illegal laws which we know because a president is not allowed to circumvent congressional laws with signing statements, which he did in the case of the NDAA. Obama also passed other illegal laws. The BFSA labeling all U.S. citizens as enemy combatants and only giving the shadow government blue transponder protection. The kill switch switching off all cancer cell phone antennas to disrupt communication just when you need it the most to produce mass genocide. The kill list is alright though. The NDAA, European version EAW, European arrest warrant, is illegal because it is in violation of the UDHR and international laws and constitutions to allow indefinite detention without any reason or a fair trial, and it is illegal to torture anyone, especially without a fair trial. 2. Granting legal immunity to a company that shipped out deadly products 3 times, Baxter, heparin, factor 8 and a slow-kill brain-eating vaccine with life instead of deactivated viruses, and granting legal immunity to a company that has produced DDT, Agent Orange and aluminium-resistant seed to create an illegal GMO food as a weapon, monopoly in combination with the illegal chemtrails, CIA's Evergreen Air, to make farmers that do not use aluminium-resistant seed go out of business. The chemtrails, mainly cancer-causing barium and nano, pronounced nano, bots, are there to form internal computers to eventually take over the brains of the 500 million people that are left to remotely control them as slaves. See illegal Georgia Guidestones. 3. War crimes. People nominated for the Nazi Nobel Prize are all controlled opposition used and nominated by the Jesuit-controlled Nazi Nobel Committee. C. Amnesty International accuses Obama of war crimes. These 3 crimes which make Barry Soetoro Davis Obama guilty of war crimes are just a tip of the iceberg. First day in office, Obama signed an executive order blocking the release of his long-form birth certificate. So he is not really the president, and if he is guilty of war crimes, and Obama deserves to be hanged after a fair trial. Obama signs executive order barring release of his birth certificate July 19, 2009. Executive Order 13,489. I think all forms of torture are illegal, and I cannot think of any reason to allow it. Torturers are terrorists, and of course they are continuing the Mengele programs, which is called Nazi Project Paperclip. Google the words Wixibullet, W-I-X, and the word Ebola with a letter G attached to it, Wixibullet, to find out how the loonies want to kill you and 7 billion people of planet Earth for Mr. Rockefeller with his illegal Nazi eugenics depopulation program in cancer-inducing Europe. Tesla's death ray. There are 12 scalar weapon countries, so produce your own healing scalar waves. No one else will do it for you.
Universal peace.
Obama tells parents to get their kids vaccinated. Philly.com. Get your kids vaccinated to depopulate the earth. Block colloidal silver shipments. We need to depopulate for the Luciferian New World Order. And jump. The satanic ritual abuse with herb continues. 1555 Peter Bergoglio is hurting my jawbone with herb. Fakir. Pedophilia is not okay. Kill pedophiles that have killed 1 or more children. Not to redeem a murderer from the death penalty for money. With pedophiles they mean Peter Bergoglio nowadays. Infant-eating, girl-raping pedophiles, according to 16 eyewitness testimonies and official Vatican documents, not people that are more attracted to people younger than 18 that can keep their hands to themselves. At the moment they are using artificial fear and are hurting my lung with the cancer herb. So the infant-eating pedo Jesuits are making me feel horrible, and they are trying to find ways to slow kill me that I do not notice. Peaceful protest is key to defeating globalists? Nah. It's switching off herb. The Jesuits and groups they control will keep on depopulating the earth until HERP is switched off. There is horrible torture going on worldwide. Equals Anonymous equals 2 minutes ago, medical errors, a leading cause of death prescription drugs, leading killer in USA universalpeacenow.blogspot.com. Cannabis kills tumors by blocking VEGF, a protein needed by tumors to sprout. With HERP, several types of cancer are induced, and it is a global signal that makes people age more rapidly to depopulate the earth in violation of the Genocide Convention. HERP is a scalar weapon. Read 12 Things You Should Know About Scalar Weapons by Christy Verismo, angelfire.com/oz/cv/scalarweapons.html. People may not be tortured for watching videos as long as it's not child pornography, which is illegal. I suspect the pedo-perps will cut off this broadcast again to interfere with evidence of directed energy weapon torture, murder, cannibalism, pedophilia, and planned global democide. The pedo-psycho Muslims honked their car horn when the infant eaters hurt me physically. Now they are also hurting the left side of my lung. Because of the illegal cutting off of my broadcast, I was too late at the coffee shop for my medicine cannabis, for which I have a doctor's prescription, and I had to drive through the rain, though earlier there was sunshine. They're gonna kill you all, so watch out. They are mean infant-eating trolls in reality that send illegal intracranial messages using your tax money to exterminate you all. Cycling becomes excruciating torture when your lungs are attacked by the infant-eating Jesuits with their cancer HERP. I think they will kill you all, and because of their insane obsession with depopulating the earth, they will die themselves. The Jesuits' revolting odiousness is enough for me to hope God takes them away, if there is one, which of course there is not. How to make your own healing scalar waves. Cloudbusters produce scalar waves, but with an added coil you can all produce healing scalar waves yourselves. It's the coil with the S in the middle, B-filler coil, and a Caduceus coil can also be used. So the principle is 2 wires next to one another with the energy traveling in opposite direction and each wire to produce wireless energy. Tesla. These scalar waves are the main method used by the perpetrators to depopulate the earth in violation of the Genocide Convention, okay? After producing the coil, place it underneath your cloudbuster or create your own sucker punch, a tower buster with a coil built in, and use healing ray frequencies. Videos on YouTube made with a microscope with a USB ocular show bacteria, viruses, and organisms exploding when exposed to their eigenfrequencies, or what Dr. Rife called mortal oscillatory rate frequencies. The inventor of HERP died, and it's possible HERP is only used for torture and to depopulate the earth. Since the pedo infant eaters have complete control, a better future can only be created by themselves. Do not take this personally. People depopulating the earth. 1. Pedo Bergoglio. 2. Barry Sayatoro Davis Obama. 3. Rockefeller with his illegal Georgia Guidestones and Nazi eugenics program. 4. The NSA. HERP and cancer cell phone antennas produce death organ, which kills people. People that have gifted the earth with cloudbusters have saved us all. The more organ life force energy, the better. I think role model citizens are tortured to death nowadays. One who knows of evidence must testify. Gugel. NSA, NDAA, BFSA. Pedo NSA tenists are torturing me to death for the psycho-bomb troll their master. If you disagree with anything your quote government unquote is doing, they torture you to death with HAARP. Also for quoting others. They may do that anyway to depopulate the Earth's global population to 500 million. Role model citizens are tortured to death nowadays. You cannot press charges of directed energy weapon torture, cancer cell phone radiation damages, and incitement to commit genocide, proving your government is terroristic beyond any reasonable doubt. In reality, you have the right to press charges in these matters. We need to unite to prevent being exterminated ourselves in their planned illegal democide. The Jesuit infant eaters are trying to divide to defeat us and play us out against each other. Just refuse to torture me. I did not do anything wrong. I have done nothing that would justify the ultra-sadistic torture they have subjected me to. It's done by the Ninth Circle child sacrificial cult with HERP. I think the Ninth Circle might not exist. It is to cover for Pedo Bergoglio and the Psychobama troll. At the moment, March 2nd, 2015, 0014, the Psychobama troll, a troll because he is a treasonous person and psycho because he wants to depopulate the earth in reality, is hurting my spine with HERP. Perpetrators, Jesuits. are turning down the volume on my broadcast regularly. They also let the speech engine hang. More than enough RAM and CPU available. 322, 321, 911, 910, 11. I have learned my lesson. On. The pedo Jesuits. Obama is still attacking my spine with her Bo 248. Tortured every morning by Psychobama troll guilty of treason. Today the treasonous troll woke me up with cramp in both my legs. They always lie about the fact they have tortured me because their depopulation and torture are illegal in reality. I am 100% certain they do it to depopulate to 500 million and pretend depopulating the earth is allowed. They have also tortured people that have never exposed them to death like my mother. The pedo perps let text on my screen disappear and are blocking audio. A blue screen of death appeared before me, cutting off my Universal Peace broadcast. 21:57 April 2nd, 2015. Gun. 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 The pedo elite might hide at sea during world wars and global cooling in their $6 billion supercomputer designed yanked Rockefeller, Gates, Soros, Chen Clandan, Jesus lives lie, go nuclear, waste. The civil army and guns cannot protect you against the DoD. The Talon robot army and Predator drones are ready, and so is BO's illegal BFSA. Resistance is victory. Because compliance is death. They're gonna kill 7 billion people with home quarantines and killer vaccines, okay? DoD equals death ray equals HERPA. During our first Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign, which ran from August 8, 2012 to October 8, 2012, the team traveled the country, did a few dozen radio shows, and got the word out internationally with the help of a growing fan base. As a result, over $61,000 was raised for the project. The key to peace is education. Knowledge is power. Info.com more. Who would Jesus bomb? After they are bombed or when they hear it go off. I did not see Soros cutting penises of boys. Liberty equals in a funding for Cray State movie during our first Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign, which ran from August 8, 2012 to October 8, 2012. The team traveled the country, did a few dozen radio shows, and got the word out internationally with the help of a growing fan base. As a result, over $61,000 was raised for the project. The key to peace is education. Knowledge is power. Info.com more. Who would Jesus bomb? After they are bombed or when they hear it go off. I did not see Soros cutting penises of boys. Liberty equals tyranny. PLO shares into swords. Swords equals Talon robot army. Lipido nanotechnology for me. If they paid for these FEMA camps and guillotines with our tax money, let them hang for it. If they advocate killing U.S. citizens, hang them or kill them if there is no other way to prevent their illegal planned genocide. Since sex change operation was a voice change operation, she still has a penis. The real pedo infant eaters are now hurting my right lower lung and they were hurting my spine before that. They pretended that if I would stay quiet about it they would stop, which I already tested. They are almost always lying to depopulate the earth and terrorize everyone into submission. They try to control people with lies they would believe based on their brain map. Big border, big bother, big bro dig. Michael Levon Robinson's sex change operation was a voice change operation. She still has a penis. The real pedo infant eaters are now hurting my right lower lung and they were hurting my spine before that. They pretended that if I would stay quiet about it they would stop, which I already tested. They are almost always lying to depopulate the earth and terrorize everyone into submission. They try to control people with lies they would believe based on their brain map. Big border, big bother, big bro dig. Not a word from me until I'm live on Google Hangouts on air. I.e., Gapur Lickers. Obama is always lying. He does not say anything unless he's sure it's a lie. Michelle Obama is a man according to sources online. Eileen K. October 6, 2014 at 7:19 a.m. This is genocide, pure and simple. And those committing this genocide will receive their just desserts. These mass murderers may escape earthly justice, but divine justice will be awaiting them the moment they die. Deliberately injecting unsuspecting people with the Ebola virus is murder. Period. Saying it's a clinical trial or test is no excuse whatsoever. They know what they're doing when they inject the deadly virus into someone's body. They know that those they inject will develop the disease and die horrible death. And that is capital murder. God knows best how many humans can populate the earth and still maintain a healthy balance of the planet's ecosystem. He never set a population limit of 500,000 worldwide. And anyone who says he did is lying, pure and simple. Telling them the truth about their supposedly flawless doctrine might be best, so they become normal and join us in the creation of a perfect society in which all life forms will live happily eternally, which is possible because everything is energy. Let love rule. Unbelieved.
Bale trolls are hurting my right upper leg at the moment with cancer herp. So people are not rewarded but punished for telling the truth nowadays. If they want you to believe that telling the truth is an act of treason and you're a terrorist or whatever.
The paleodests with infant eaters are at the moment attacking my right upper leg. Cancer herp. So in other words, the infant eating Jesuit claws are attempting to induce cancer in my right upper leg. At the moment, 11 to 15, 19, 15. They've also been attacking my foot. That's one of the reasons I do these broadcasts. In reality, it's to create a perfect society in which we all live happily eternally. So if I exaggerate a little bit, I mean, people can do anything anyway. Obama and justice are protected with hard. But people with a sniper rifle or bomb wouldn't get very far. It ended up like Mr. Tsakis driving in on the royal family. Okay. Oh yeah, I'm totally lonely. Single women are welcome. For shiatsu massage, doing the smart foot massage. And I've been totally checked for any disease basically. The only possible thing is B-cell lymphoma and lupus heart, which is non-contagious. So they've done it by burning my limbs, and also they're breaking down my immune system. You can hear my spine snap just a second ago. Okay. What else can I write about? Perhaps another broadcast about how everybody's brain control. Now I think we're trying to make my legs swell up a little bit. They also make my back hollow by hitting my spine continuously. And well, I think that this is it for broadcast for now. I started taking my legs when I broadcasted to make the broadcast awkward, basically, to make me stop broadcasting. I want to dehumanize me. I don't want to become sort of a face, etc. Pretty populated 500 million in violation of the Genocide Convention. 500 million stole slaves for use of vertical orders of Freemasons, such as Private and Obama, Prince Hall Freemason, 32nd degree. So trust no one, nothing is what it seems, because they brain control people. They might make you think of really horrible people that are really nice, and vice versa. So that's why we have to be careful out there, and yeah, safety first, universal peace now.